We are back. Episode 15 of the One-on-Ones podcast on the Field of 12 Media Network, presented by Bet River Sportsbook. I'm Harry Douglas. He is the great Coty Sensabaugh. Now, college football didn't disappoint again last weekend as we had some thriller games throughout the day. The biggest one, Coty, took place in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And I happened to be there for it, man. Oh, my goodness, Coty.
That looked like an experience, man. I seen you say you checked it off your bucket list. How long had you been wanting to go up there?
Since I was a kid. And I'm gonna tell you something that's dope though. Being able to work with Game Day and work with Desmond Howard, and we talk about this all the time. I grew up watching Des and seeing the game when he did the Heisman pose. So to be at Michigan and that week be the 30th anniversary of him doing that, seeing him growing up and doing that pose, man, and being there, and it was perfect football weather, Coty. 21 degrees with the wind chill, snowing. I'm taking selfie videos. I got the little white hair at the top, my little white tips, frost bit, my hands freezing, but it didn't matter because I was at the big house. And I'll tell you this, Coty, being able to be a part of Game Day in Ann Arbor, Michigan, that was the best college atmosphere I've ever experienced in my life.
Wow.
Shout out to Michigan. The crowd was live. Like when we pulled up for Game Day early in the morning, and I get there probably about 7:30, 7:45. I'm like, man, all these people out here already camping out, tailgating, music blasting. They got the heaters out there. Listen, you wouldn't have thought it was 20-something degrees. You thought it was 69, 70 degrees outside.
Man, those fans was ready for that game, and so was the team. And it showed. Like, they was live and wired up from the beginning. And, you know, you said you got there about 7:30, 7:45, so no telling how long they had been out there. They had been waiting on this for a long time, Harbaugh included. So that was huge for Michigan.
Yeah, and during that game, man, and I said before the game, if Michigan had a chance to win this game, they were going to have to dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides with those DNs and then they offensive linemen. What I mean, they punished Ohio State. They punished Ohio State from Aiden Hutchinson, David Ajabo to the offensive line. I gave the game ball to the offensive line.
Without question.
They rushed for 297 yards and 6 touchdowns as a team. And Hassan Haskins, we thought Kenneth Walker, the third, had a Heisman game against Michigan. Well, Hassan Haskins, that joker had 28 carries, 169 yards, and 5 touchdowns.
He put on a show. He put on a show. Those between his game this past weekend and Kenneth Walker's a few weeks ago, those are two of the top rushing games I'd ever seen. Yeah. And like you said, man, Ohio State has all the talent in the world at the skill position. And it just goes back to old school days. It doesn't matter what you have going on outside, you have to win the trenches.
Yep.
Saturday's game was an old school punch you in the mouth run period.
Literally. 9:07.
9:07.
9:07 run period.
12 noon to 3:30 p.m. And when I tell you those Ohio State defenders from the front 4 to the back 4 did not want any more, I seen guys hopping out of their gap, getting fake blocked. I seen guys diving at shoelaces. The ground was probably cold.
Taking those mysterious angles. Coach, I'm trying to tackle him, but I really don't want none of that smoke. I really don't want that smoke. I'm going to act like I'm tackling him, but I really don't want to tackle him because it's cold. They coming downhill. They playing physical. But let me tell you, Coty, when I knew this game was over, Hassan Haskins scored a touchdown, right? So at this point, I'm in the press box now because I ain't finna be freezing my ass off. I got to get in the press box. I'm a cold.
Rightfully so.
I look down. They got the little DJ out there. He playing some song. Doom, doom, pump it up. Doom, doom, doom. All I see is the Michigan sideline. Their players jumping up and down. I look around the entire stadium. All I see is them yellow pom-poms and the Michigan fans jumping up and down. I looked over at Ohio State sideline. I say it's over.
Defeated.
I say it's over. Yeah.
Defeated.
But I tell you, and you talked about those skill position players for Ohio State, and they're some great players. But they had some miscues in that game.
Yes, sir.
They had some drop balls.
Yes, sir.
CJ Stroud had some throws that were behind receivers.
Hey, CJ
And
Stroud had more people at his feet and his legs than he's seen all season. You know, on offense, man, quarterbacks get different when you get guys at your feet and your legs.
And that was the thing. That was the thing that everybody was talking about. Oh, hey, if you let CJ Stroud sit back there without pressure, he's going to pick you apart. But you get people pressuring him. Aiden Hutchinson had 3 sacks. He had guys in his face all day. He was scrambling. And I'll tell you, man, I remember, I don't know if it was the second, maybe in the second drive for Ohio State. And they literally ran the ball basically all the way down to the tight red zone. First down, they ran it. Second down, I think it was at the 1 or 2 yard line. They decided to pass the ball. Granted, CJ Stroud threw the ball behind Olave. Granted, Olave is a premier wide receiver and still should have caught it. Why pass the ball right there? Why get cute? Why not run the ball? You ran it all the way down the football field. Why not let TREVOR Henderson go ahead and take that thing in the end zone?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And they only got 3 points on that drive.
Right.
There's no reason to be cute right there. Because I tell you, one thing Michigan did when they got that ball down inside that 5 yard line. Coty,
bro.
they was gonna run that rock.
Nothing about Michigan attack on offense or defense was cute.
Nope.
I seen a straight ass whooping, pardon my language. Not only with the offensive line, but man, I gotta give it up to 2 guys you shouted out weeks ago now, before Michigan was even like in this light. Hutchinson and Ajabo. They combined for 4 sacks. They dominated the game. They completely took the game over. They made everybody's job easier on that defense. And not only did Michigan's defense have 4 sacks, they had 8 tackles for loss. Those guys were in the backfield creating negative plays all game long. I don't think Ohio State has seen anything like that all year. Michigan was just on a different level, man. They was just on a different level.
Coty, I got to give credit too. And I don't want to leave here without giving credit to that Michigan secondary, because before the game, DJ Turner, Daxton Hill, Vincent Gray, I was wondering were they going to be able to contain that wide receiver group. Those boys didn't have no easy catches now.
No, sir.
Every catch they had was contested. They were physical at the line of scrimmage with those wide receivers, and they weren't scared of them.
They were not scared of them.
They weren't scared of them.
You got to give it up to those guys. And like you said, they have 3 premier guys, but they had to work all game long. Like some of those catches that those guys was making, I guarantee you the Michigan secondary coach was like, hell, I can live with it.
Yep.
I can live with it. But something else that stood out to me about Saturday's game, Michigan was the more disciplined team.
Yes, they were.
Ohio State continued.
Way
too many penalties. They continue to shoot themselves in the foot from the first quarter to the fourth quarter. And when you give up I'm going to just say it, 300, not even 297. I'm going to say 300. When you give up 300 yards on the ground, you're not beating anybody. It's that simple.
Coty, we talking about the penalties. Coty, you know how many times the snap to the quarterback got mishandled?
Was off, yeah.
Like that alone.
Yep.
But hey, the better team won that day. Michigan was the better team. That place was crazy. And then after the game, man, it's snowing everywhere. They bum rushed the field. That scene, man, like when I checked off something off my bucket list, bro, it exceeded expectations. Like I was like, oh my goodness, like this is what I wanted it to be and more.
Man, I watched it from start to finish, and I couldn't have predicted a better game. Now, obviously, I thought Ohio State was going to win, but the back and forth they had and the passion those young men play with, it was a beautiful thing to see. Shout out to Michigan, man, and shout out to Harbaugh, because I know he's been there, I think, 6 years.
The monkey's off his back.
The monkey's off his back, and if I'm not mistaken, I read something where they said he received like a pay cut because he wasn't able to beat Ohio State and he wasn't able to get to the Big Ten championship. So I think he answered a lot of the critics' calls, and hopefully they can continue to have success, because the way they played Saturday, man, they can compete with anybody in the country the way they played Saturday.
And I want to congratulate Harbaugh, because all his bonus money that he's getting from winning that game, going to the Big Ten championship game, if they go to the playoffs, he is actually giving back to people who had to take major pay cuts at Michigan, I think, in the athletic program. So shout out to him for that, man, because that's a bold move. Not everybody will do that.
Nah, not in this capitalist society, man. Shout out to him.
And man, I had a chance to. So my brother was in with the Miami Heat when Juwan Howard was down there. So I had a chance to chop it up with Juwan, man, up in the press box.
Michigan legend.
Shout out to him and what he's doing at Michigan. And I just love the way like all those guys are involved with one another, right? You seen after the game, him congratulating Harbaugh right there on the sideline, in the locker room, right outside the locker room while the Michigan team was going in. Cade McNamara went over there and dapped him up. He telling those guys, good job. That's what a athletic family is about at a university, man. So that's dope.
And Cade McNamara surprised me. He didn't have to do too much, but when he had to make throws, he made them. He made his throws count. I know he had the interception, but man, he made some big throws Saturday for sure.
And they keep trying to put, and now listen, JJ McCarthy, the other backup quarterback, he gonna be good. But right now it's Cade McNamara's time, baby. Yeah. JJ McCarthy, you have time. Right now it's all about Cade. Cade who? Cade.
He had a nice play too. Nice play too.
So now I want to shift things, man, to the Iron Bowl. We had another thriller. We had some thrillers, man. We had another thriller. And the first thing I want to talk about in this game, I want to fast forward to situational football because it comes up over and over again. And I love Tank Bigsby, one of the best backs in college football, but he had an opportunity to stay in bounds and run about 35 to 40 seconds off that clock. And he didn't do it. He went out of bounds, basically gave Alabama another timeout. So Alabama got the ball with a minute and 11 seconds left in the fourth and had to go 97 yards. They did it in 12 plays. Bryce Young. That
was a defining moment.
Bro.
That was a defining moment.
He gave his team a chance, and that is what a Heisman Trophy candidate, a Heisman Trophy winner has to do to give his team a chance to win a game in a rivalry game.
On the road.
He did everything he could, man. And they was already handicapped, man, without Jamison Williams. And that played up huge because those younger guys struggled. They struggled a bit to get McQuarrie, the corner of Auburn, their star corner. They struggled, man. But John Mechie
150
came up big. They needed him. They needed every bit of that 150. They needed every bit of that 150, man. But it just goes to show you. And I like what I'm seeing for Nick Saban because Nick Saban is showing gratitude and he's showing his players that, okay, yes, we want to win, but I love y'all. You see him in the locker room dancing. Hey, if you on that, you're going to get up out of here nicking that thing. Boom, 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 boom.
Right. He's having a lot of fun. You can tell he's having a lot of fun.
Yes. And he loves the fact that his team is going out there. Granted, they're not blowing everybody out, but they're fighting to the end. And he said that after the game. For us to continue to fight and fight, he's proud of those guys because no matter what, they never wavered, man. They always believed that they had a chance. And Will Anderson Jr., the way these guys love each other, the way he ran up to Bryce Young when he scored that touchdown, when he threw that touchdown pass to send that game in overtime, let me all you need to know about their team. One man, one sound.
Even you talking about on the timeout.
Yeah.
Man, I knew the game was over. They were down by 7, but the energy those group of men had during that timeout leading up to that touchdown pass, they were confident. They were excited. They were turned. Like they didn't have I didn't see a bit of fear in anybody's face.
No.
From those guys in the white uniforms. I didn't see a single bit. And I just think that was a defining moment for Bryce Young, man, to be down. I mean, just keeping it a buck. The offense was abysmal all day.
Offensive line, man. Got it. I'm nervous for that offensive line this weekend.
Right. Because speaking of that, Jamison Williams with the targeting penalty. What quarter did that happen in?
Ooh, was it it was the first half.
Yeah. So, but he'll miss some time in the first half of this next game. That's how it works, right?
I gotta
They
see.
need him immediately.
Boy, what?
They need him immediately because that
That's what
offense.
I'm saying. Because if they don't,
Right. I don't know if they have a half or 17, 18 minutes. I'm not sure how it works. I don't know if they have that long for him to be, just standing on the sideline waiting for his time to come in.
And you know who I think? I think that happened to George Pickens.
Mm-hmm.
I think the year that Georgia played LSU in
Mm-hmm.
the SEC championship game, and that hurt their team big time.
I want to say if it happens in the first quarter, you can come in the first quarter. If it happens,
I hope so.
If it happens in the second quarter, the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, etc. But back to Bryce Young, man, you got to give it up to him. He led his team on an amazing drive when they needed it. He was confident. He looked like he had been there before.
What?
Michi the third stepped up big. We talked about him. He went for 150.
Coty, that defense though.
Hey,
Bama defense had 6 sacks and 15 TFLs, tackles for loss.
I've never heard. I want to talk about two stats. I've never heard of a team having 15 tackles for loss. First of all,
that's crazy.
That's out of this world. I've never heard of that. But what was even crazier to me, Auburn had 40 carries for 22 yards. 40 carries for 22 yards. They ain't even getting a yard.
Hey, they stuck with the run, didn't they?
Hey, they stuck with it though. But that just goes to show you those negative plays, man, they can change a game. When you put an offense behind the chains, whether it be on first or second down, that drive damn near over unless you make a silly mistake on defense. Yep. Man, that Bama defense came to play, man. They came to play. Like they held them to 10 points, man. And Finley, he played solid, but he didn't.
Poor Finley. Hey, poor,
I mean,
hey, poor Finley. Hey, he tried.
I gotta give it up to Alabama, man. And something I'm looking forward to seeing this weekend between Alabama and Georgia. Alabama's been in a lot of dog fights.
Yes.
Georgia's been in a lot of blowouts. So if it just so happens that they're going back and forth and they're punching each other,
Alabama's been through it.
They've been through it. Georgia hasn't
all year.
Georgia hasn't been there. They all year. So, man, you got to give it up to Nick Saban. I think this is one of the more impressive jobs he's done in a season with this roster that he has, especially with the deficiencies on the offensive line. But man, I don't know if they can go get somebody from the dining hall or what, but they need some help, man. For real.
Hey, I know that Georgia defensive line is coming.
Man, they licking their chops.
They coming.
They licking their chops for sure. So that's gonna be a game to see. But yeah, man, Bryce Young. Bryce Young.
Let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with Bet Rivers yet, now's the time because they're offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. Now, what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Play Instant Approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. With the football season heating up, getting down to the end, nitty and gritty, get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today or by downloading the Bet Rivers iOS app. Now, you must be 21 years or older, and if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We'll go to another game I want to get to, Bedlam. Bedlam didn't disappoint. That was a hell of a game. Man, I want to talk about Oklahoma State's defense because that defense is one of the top defenses in the country.
Yes, sir.
The star player, linebacker Malcolm Rodriguez showed up big time in that game. He showed up big time for them the entire season. The other linebacker, Devin Harper, he's all over the place. Colin Oliver, who's a freshman, leading the team in sacks. Brock Martin. They have guys on their defense. And if we had to go to an alley and whoop somebody's ass, I'm taking every single person they have on their defensive roster. I'm taking every last one of them, especially that starting 11. Right. I'm taking them with me. I'm taking them some alley cats, man.
Man, speaking of,
I'm taking them boys.
Defense, I want to shout out Michael Hunter, who I played with the Giants. He's a coach over there on that defensive staff, man. So
that's dope.
He got those guys right, man. You said it right there. You take them to an alley. Those are the type of guys you need. They not ducking or dodging nobody or nothing.
No, they play well together, Coty. They do things as a team. And I'm watching their film yesterday. I'm watching all their games on the year. The way they run to the ball, rally to the ball, the way they enjoy it. I remember one Oklahoma receiver basically tried to kind of dap up an Oklahoma State player. He shoved him. Boy, get your ass out of here. Boy, this bedlam. We're not doing none of that. This bedlam.
We could do that after.
But Oklahoma State quarterback, man, Spencer Sanders, although he had some errant throws, I thought he did what he had to do using his legs. Very, very important. 16 carries, 93 yards, and a touchdown. Their wide receiver, Tate Martin, he's come up big for them all year. Presley, the other wide receiver, had a big kickoff return. He had a muff punt too, but that kickoff return came up huge. In the punt return that Eric Gray for Oklahoma muffed, that was a turning point in the game right there.
Oklahoma State special teams came up big, man. I think they was the deciding factor in the game. Obviously it was a tale of two halves. If you look at Oklahoma's offense, Caleb Williams went crazy in the first half, threw for 3 touchdowns. You would have thought he ended up with 6 or 7, but that second half, the adjustments that Oklahoma State defense made and their coaching staff, you got to give it up to him. Because the second half, he was 6 of 18 for 48 yards.
But you see in the first half, they won a lot of cover 0, right? And Caleb Williams, I got to give him credit. He's seen it. He started backing up from the pressure and just throwing it up. And the guys made plays. So in the second half, they said, you know what? Let's adjust some things a little bit. Let's not go cover 0 so much and make them actually beat us. Make them earn everything that they got. So they just start rallying to the ball, man. But I gotta give it to Caleb Williams. That young man left everything out on that football field.
Yes, sir, he did.
Everything. From an offensive standpoint, he definitely was the best player on the football field. He just came up short. That defense of Oklahoma State was just that much damn better.
Yeah, and both teams were terrible on third down. Oklahoma, man, they just these last couple weeks, man. And I know we're going to talk about this later, but I want to kind of touch on it right now. The way they've played the last couple weeks, do you think they had an inkling that Lincoln Riley was on his way out?
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Because the way they played the last couple weeks, they don't look like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and we ain't got to wait for that. We can jump into that right now. Like
they didn't seem all into me. They didn't seem all into me the last couple weeks.
And I'll say this, the way they played, Lincoln Riley probably thinking like, you know what? Like I gotta.
You heard his presser after the game. If you heard his presser after the game, he was talking about, the last 7 years we've had a lot of success. You gotta appreciate the success when you have it. He sounded a little checked out in that presser after the game.
And I think them moving to the SEC soon played a part in that too, right? You go into the SEC, you got all these. Listen, that's big boy football. Listen, that finesse stuff don't really work like that in the SEC now. Nah. So that's big boy football. And then I look at the 2017-2018 season, right? Oklahoma made the college football playoffs. They lost to Georgia in the SEC school. 2018-2019 college football playoffs. They lost to Bama down in Miami, a SEC school. 19-20 season, they got blown out by LSU, another SEC school. So Lincoln Riley was like, why in the hell am I going over here to this SEC? Let me go on out here to this Pac-12 and keep these guys in LA, see if they'll stay home and won't leave, and basically try to do what Pete Carroll did.
Yep.
Right? So, I mean, I don't know, man, but it's two sides to it. I know I was hurt when my coach left my junior year. After my junior year, we had won an Orange Bowl, and we basically had the same team coming back. But at the end of the day, I understand that this is a business.
Yes.
Listen, I just read the logistics. They talking about the man going to be making over $100 million. They paying for his house out there. They paying for his house. He just got built.
That cost of living expensive out there in LA.
Man, your wife ain't gonna let you say no to that.
Right. And it's LA. It's LA.
You got to find a new wife.
Man, yeah.
How You know what I'm saying? So it's two sides
LeBron
to
did
it.
it a couple years ago. Like, you want to be in Cleveland or you want to be in LA? Like,
So I think it's like it's a business side of it. So it can go either way, man. I can never say I fault somebody for wanting to better their life and better their situation.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know. Maybe he wanted change. He wanted a fresh start.
Right. And I think something else about Lincoln Riley and Oklahoma, speaking back to the few years they made it to the college football playoff, I think you realize they reached a ceiling.
Yeah.
I think Oklahoma reached a ceiling. And as a former player, my perspective on it would be when I went to Clemson, the guy that recruited me, after my first or second year, I can't remember which one it was. I can't remember if he got fired or he just left, what have you. I really didn't feel no type of way because I wasn't there for him. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, he recruited me and he was the one that I was the closest with, but I still knew I was there and had a job to do. My job was to get my education and to try to make it to the NFL. Right. So yeah, I somewhat missed him, but I got over that quick because I understood it was a business, and I was like, man, I got shit to do while I'm here and I'm going to get this shit done by any means necessary. Yeah. So that's how I look at it. But like you said, man, you can never fault, as a man, you can never fault another man for him making a decision that he feels is best for himself and his family, those around him. Like, anybody who questions that, or, and
Coty, I would do the same thing. Like when I committed to Louisville, I committed to John L. Smith. John L. Smith left and took the Michigan State job.
Right.
But, I stayed at Louisville regardless, though. You know what I mean? Because, like, at the end of the day, I had plans for myself. I knew what I wanted to do.
Right.
So it was what it was. I made the best of the situation. I think the quicker, and it's harder for these college kids to understand that this is a business. Right. But the quicker they could understand that, the better off they're gonna be.
Agreed.
In college football, especially now with the NIL deal and all that stuff going on, but the better they'll be off when they make it to the National Football League as well, because there it's all business.
Absolutely.
All business.
It's all business. And I think you also have to look at the transfer portal and the new rules that they have. I mean, guys can get up and leave pretty much at any time. So I look at that as a business decision, because a lot of guys that are transferring, I would assume most of them are doing it because they're not getting the playing time that they either want or they expected to get. So I look at that as a business decision as well. And I don't fault any of those young men for doing what they feel is best for them. So how could I do it to a coach? But I think something that is good for Oklahoma is he made his decision early. He didn't leave him. He didn't leave him waiting. He didn't wait till after the bowl game or late December or mid-December. He's letting them know right now so they can start getting their ducks in a row to find whoever their next guy is to lead that team.
And then I'm going to talk about another guy, Brian Kelly. He's leaving Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. He's going to LSU. And I know a lot of people, they're upset. It rubbed them the wrong way because they still have a chance to make the college football playoffs. Mm-hmm. But let me ask you a question, Coty. Say somebody's offering you 10 years, 95 million, 10 years, $100 million, right? And they telling you that you need to make this decision right now. Or we going with somebody else? What you gonna do, Coty?
If that's
not saying that was the case, right. But I'm just bringing up. I'm just hypothetically, like they tell you, hey, we need you to make this decision now, or we're going with the next guy. What you gonna do?
If that's a job that's intriguing me and I'm really interested in it, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm not interested in it, then that is what it is. But if there's some intrigue and they're offering me that, which I'm assuming is more than Notre Dame's paying them, and even if you take the money away from it, if I got a chance to choose between
LSU, man.
If I get a chance to choose between LSU and Notre Dame, point blank period, I'm going with LSU. And that's no knock on Notre Dame, but I'm going with LSU.
He's had some great years at Notre Dame, right? He had a 10-win seasons the last 5 years at Notre Dame. Like, he's had some great years at Notre Dame. I think they went to the college football playoffs, twice?
I think so. And I think that's another situation similar to Lincoln Riley. It's a ceiling.
Yeah.
It's a ceiling.
He go to LSU, you get better recruits. And he recruited like hell at Notre Dame without being in a conference. So imagine how he's going to recruit at LSU.
Man, he run the state of Louisiana and he'll be solid.
Yeah.
You know, like, but I don't see how anybody could fault him for that. There's between LSU and Notre Dame, that's not even a debate in my eyes.
And I know a lot of people, they have their opinions about the text message that he sent out to the team. Now, I'm pretty sure he wanted to tell those guys first, but the news leaked and it got out. So what else y'all want him to do? Of course, he has to send some kind of message.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? To let those guys know that, hey, I'm gonna meet with y'all in the morning. I think it was 7 a.m. But sometimes, man, I think this stuff get blown out of proportion. And some people were saying that, oh, how can he do this? And he still has a chance to make the college football playoffs, man. Let the situations be reversed.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and bro, you know, like I know, bro, news travels fast. That's the time we're living in. Like, I remember when I got cut, my family knew before I did. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like news travels fast, man. And sometimes, especially in this business, I can't speak for any other industries because this is the industry that I've done so far as a grown-up. But it's like, man, you got to leave your feelings at the door.
Yep.
At every single level. You got to leave your feelings at the door. You can't be emotional. You can't be sporadic because shit happens. And very rarely is it how you expect or how you would like all the time. And that's life. I think that's the beautiful thing about football is it prepares us so much for life after and the day-to-day that you have to deal with. And a lot of people can't deal with adversity and bounce back from it. Man, in football, you got to deal with that shit every day. Damn near every rep, because you may bust somebody's ass one rep, and then the very next rep, he may bust your ass.
You better believe it.
But it's unfortunate how, you know, that went down. I'm sure he wish he could have told him differently, but I mean,
news trap, like we in a social media era, bro.
Man,
like
it's so much going on, man. Like, you know, people don't care. People, right, wrong, or indifferent. Like people that report news that's trying to get it out fast and be the first one. That's their job. That's how they get paid. So they can't have feelings like, oh, I don't want to break it before he talks to his team because then that's messing up their money and they're taking care of their family. So everybody has a job to do and. It's just a society.
And look, listen, Notre Dame has solid coordinators, defensive, offensive, special teams, guys who can be head coaches. You know what I mean? So they're going to be okay. They're going to be okay if it comes to the point to where they end up and somehow make the college football playoffs. Right. They have enough solid guys and enough solid leaders over there that they're going to be all right. Next thing I want to get to the top four. So my top four right now, I have Georgia, 1. I have Michigan, 2. I have Cincinnati, 3. And I have Alabama, 4 right now.
I agree with that. I like that top 4. The way Michigan put it on Ohio State, like I see why they jumped everybody. Cincinnati's handling their business. They're doing what they're supposed to do. With the way things have shaken out these last few weeks, if they handle their business this weekend, I think they have earned and deserve a shot
to get in. That's right.
And, you know, we'll see. We'll see I think the biggest thing now is to see what happens between Georgia and Alabama. That's going to.
Let's go ahead and get to the conference game. So the Pac-12 on Friday, that game is at 8 p.m. on Friday in Las Vegas. Oregon versus Utah. Utah's a 2.5-point favorite. If it's anybody who want to replay this game, it's Oregon because they got their ass kicked the first time around and just got dominated. The over-under for this is 59.5. I'm going to take Utah in this one again just because how physical they were that first time around. I'm going with Utah. Who you got?
I'm going to go with Oregon, man. I think it's hard to beat a team 2 times in a season. Like the NFL.
Less than like 2 or 3 weeks too.
And that's how the NFL division games work. You know, you may play somebody and then 2 weeks later you're playing them again. So I'm going with over and I'm taking Oregon.
All right, we got the Big 12 game. That's Saturday at 12 p.m. In Arlington, Jerry's World. Baylor versus Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's a 4.5-point favorite. Over under is 46.5. These two met together once already this year, and Oklahoma State beat Baylor. Ironically about that game, I think Baylor had every chance to win that game.
Right.
But their defense got them 3 turnovers, but that defense of Oklahoma State didn't allow any points for Baylor's offense off of those turnovers. Late in that ball game, some questionable decisions on third down to run the football and whatnot. But I'm gonna go with Oklahoma State in this one, and I'm gonna go with the under. I love Oklahoma State's defense. I'm gonna go with the under just because I don't think that many points will be scored in this one.
What would you say it was? 46?
46.5.
I'm gonna go Oklahoma State, and I'm gonna go under. Can I go even? I'm gonna go even. I'm gonna go slightly under because I expect Oklahoma State to put up points, but I expect their defense to do what they've done all year. But Oklahoma State.
All right, we have the SEC championship game that's Saturday at 4 p.m. right here in the ATL, baby. Georgia's favorite by that one is 6.5 points. The over-under is 51. I'm going to go with Georgia just because, listen, Georgia has been phenomenal this year. They haven't been a team to come close to beating them. I'm not going to go to the points, though. I think Georgia's going to win, and I think it's going to be under 51 as well.
I'm gonna go with under, and I'm gonna go with Alabama because I think the only way for both of these teams to make it to the playoff is for Alabama to win. But I feel both teams deserve to be in it. So I'm just gonna go with Alabama for the hell of it.
I agree with that. Also at 4 p.m. the AAC championship in Cincinnati, Ohio. Houston versus Cincinnati. Man, I'm gonna go with Houston because they're a top 5 defense in the country. I'm going with Houston, man. I'm going with Houston, even though Cincinnati is a 10.5 point favorite. The over-under is 54 in this one. I'm going to go over, and I'm going to go Houston winning this game.
You said 54?
Yep.
I'm going to go Cincinnati, and I'm going to go – damn, 54, a lot of points, man. I'm going to go Cincinnati, and I'm going to go under.
Okay.
I'm going to go under.
I like it. We got 2 more. The Big Ten is Saturday at 8 p.m. in Naptown, Indianapolis, Indiana. Iowa versus Michigan. Michigan is a 10.5 point favorite. The over-under is 43.5. I'm going to go with Michigan, and I'm going to take the points in this one, and I'm going to go over in this one.
I'm right with you on that one. The way those men showed up last week, Michigan over.
All right, last one we got the ACC Saturday at 8 p.m. in Charlotte.
Yes, sir.
Wake Forest versus Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a 3.5 point favorite. The over-under 72.5. I am taking Pittsburgh because I think they have the better defense, and I'm gonna go with over because they want to sling it. Both teams.
I agree with you. Wake Forest, I haven't seen them stop many people this year. I mean, they gave up 30-something to Clemson.
50-something to Navy.
You know what I'm saying? So they have a hell of an offense.
Was it Army? No, was it Army? I think it may have been Army.
It was one of them. I mean, they've been having shootouts every single week. And Pittsburgh can play some ball. And like you said, their defense is solid. So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh, and I'm going to go with over too because I expect both teams to score. But it's going to be a lot of points down here in Charlotte on Saturday.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Championship weekend. That's what we have coming up this weekend. Y'all join us next week. This is episode 15. See y'all next week for episode 16.
Yes, sir.